So the purpose of this run is to solely test Fist of Havoc's in solo endgame content and see what it is like and how it performs. You can skip the first unstoppable champion and still get platinum rank. That is absolutely correct. You will see me get platinum rank at the end. Anyways, we're going to rush our way to the first overload. We'll stun him with a pulse grenade. We pushed him off map, which doesn't always happen, but would have killed anyways regardless. Kind of messed me up actually because there's this drain here. I was waiting for all the enemies to jump across. Obviously the main modifier is Brawn. Now, on an Arc Titan, the only healing on an Arc Titan via any aspect or fragment, anything at all, is knockout. Now, a lot of people look at knockout, the aspect, as a fantastic aspect, and it's not that good. You're saying it's good because it's on Prismatic Titan and it synergizes with Consecration, and it does. But if you just look at knockout itself, it isn't giving us a lot of health regen, not compared to Devour, not compared to Restoration, or anything like that. So, to substitute healing, because this is a healing GM, make no mistake, yes, it's easy, and I proved that to you with my previous runs on this, but if you do not run a health regen build, you have to think a little bit more about where you're going to get your health from, because there's no health regen in this GM. Other than killing challenging enemies. So I'm trying to test Fist of Havoc here, but I have a bit of a conundrum because it's not on Prismatic, so I have to go on Arc. And there's a few of you asked about Fist of Havoc, so here's the gameplay footage of it, and it puts in great damage against champs. I will say that. Mini bosses as well to a degree, it does decently, especially with Symphoceps. We need Symphoceps on. I know there was a dude the other day said about using it with Eternal Warrior, and I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea. I'm going to tell you it right now. I'm not going to wait. And this will apply to other people, Arc Titan mains, because there's still Arc Titan mains out there. I know there is. You don't want to use Eternal Warrior because the gains of using it aren't in your favor in a solo GM environment. You will get times for weapon surge after you've used your super. You will get an overshield during your super. You don't need the overshield to stay alive. So, in other words, you're sacrificing damage from Symphoceps to use an overshield exotic. It's no good. Eternal Warrior needs a buff. It's not good enough. It's not performing good enough. It needs to do something else other than just an overshield. It needs to be a damage bonus as well as the overshield. Then we start to consider Eternal Warrior. Right now we can't really consider it because Symphoceps, it gives us a damage bonus for melee and super. It's enhancing Fist of Havoc, which Fist of Havoc got a buff and it feels a little bit better than what it used to. But I think anything that they would have done to it would have made it feel better anyways. But I haven't done this run. Yes, it's a very useful super for champs. I think it's very useful. It stuns unstoppables but not overloads. But you have Jolt in your kit via pulse grenade and the fragments for arc, so you can jolt champion while you're in your super as well, as long as you throw a grenade, an arc grenade that is, to be precise. So we can stun both overload and unstoppable, but we can't stun barrier, but barrier's not in this, so that's no problem. I reckon if you get one shield break on a barrier champ, after you've done that you will kill him with Fist of Havoc. So the damage it's doing to champs is pretty reasonable. Alright, it's a really good super for champs. But its neutral build, obviously on Arc Titan, just isn't cutting it for today's sandbox. Which I made a video about the sandbox, about the meta and everything just before there, explaining to you why Prismatic is the best classes in the game. Arc, Solar Void, Strand and Stasis just can't compete. They have buffed Roman supers, but a lot of the Roman supers are on Prismatic anyways. So Glacial Quake's been buffed. Does that mean you're going to go on Behemoth Titan now because that's been buffed? No, you're going to go on Prismatic Titan and then equip Glacial Quake. That doesn't address the light versus Prismatic argument on the power difference between the two. I'm just explaining to you why I've had to substitute the build with Red Death. In this GM I would have done this or maybe run a Devour build with the Berry Bloodline. I was going to do Berry Bloodline, but I opted to do Red Death instead. Because the ultimate goal of the run is to get an arc Titan clear. That is it, really. And to see damage, look at this. We jolt champ, we get him in a slam and a knee charge, and we stun the unstop. So 1 super equals both champs killed. Now the unstop stopped a little bit too early, which meant I lost damage. But imagine if the unstop hadn't had stopped so soon. We're killing both champs easily in 1 super, so that's good. That's good. Now I know Arc Titan users are still going to want to use T-Crash, and T-Crash is melting at the minute. It is. It's really good right now, is T-Crash. So endgame stuff, do you want to use Fist of Havoc? Well, I'm going to give you a reason why sometimes you would want to use Fist of Havoc over T-Crash. So inherently, T-Crash is going to do a higher burst damage because it's a burst damage one-off super. Fist of Havoc, you will get your super 2 to 3 times quicker than a T-Crash, and you will more likely have super resistance over T-Crash. T-Crash will give you super resistance whilst you're in animation. Once the animation is broken, you lose all super armor resistance. And super armor resistance during Roman supers, which you need to know about because the Roman super buff is huge. Somebody down below comment the super armor resistance. I haven't got time to find the number, but it stacks with tier 10 resilience. I don't know if it's independent value per super. Probably is. I think I've seen it sometime, somewhere on a Reddit post, sometime. At some point, someone will know the values. But the point of it is this. You are really tanky in a Roman super, and it's a viable option in GMs when you're in trouble. And that we can charge super so fast, you know, there's more people that want to maybe use Roman super, right? So this area here, we are waiting on super plus nade. We get our nade. We're going to stun these enemies. By the way, we're using seismic charge. Now you're going to ask, why am I not using thunderclap? Because I know there's a lot of thunderclap users out there. The problem with thunderclap is there's no adverbs attached to thunderclap. There's no jolt, there's no blind, there's no nothing. Seismic strike blinds enemies, therefore you buff. Oh, look at our pulse nade. We've lost our pulse nade. That's messed the entire strat up. Now we can't kill Overload. So that's a weakness to the super look. We cannot stun him. So that's messed up our entire run, that, because of that pulse grenade. So yeah, with the Fist of Havoc, better on unstops than it is Overloads, but as long as you've got a nade, you're good. So yeah, we've also got the GL on though. For stun, just there was a turret up and stuff. Scorn enemy turret. So yeah, there's going to be more people more likely to run Fist of Havoc, and it's the option of having a Roman super and building up many charges per run, which is going to, you know, entice people to use it or want to try it at least. But yeah, with my run testing wise, I would say that Fist of Havoc is putting out a lot of good damage on champs. I think that if you're going to do a Arc Roman super build, Raiden Flux Hunter is better than this. Just my opinion. Because here's why I think that. Symphoceps is a 50% buff. Right? I'm talking about super damage here, not melee damage. I'm not about super damage. Raiden Flux is a 70% buff at max stacks. It's higher. And it lasts a lot longer than what Fist Havoc is doing. So if you want to play the identity of a Roman Super Arc style setup, Arc Hunter is where it's at, not this. Well, it is and it isn't. It is and it isn't. It does decently well. It's just that I'm in a GM where I'm getting no health regen and it's hindering the run. Well, it would be hindering the run if I hadn't run Red Death as a result. Remember, all ammo drops in this room you can save for later. Right, you can save them for the boss fight because this is identical to it's the same instance. When you go to the boss fight, obviously you get TP'd here. Well, that will help us for ammo later. But yeah, talking about the seismic strike, when we blind a target, we get our compound buff. So we get an increase to arc sources. So our pulse grenade, for example, would do more damage. Our Roman super would. I know I haven't got an arc weapon on, because my weapons are Q-rated for the build. So I'll tell you through the 4 presses. That Red Death obviously for healing, GL for debuff, as in the loss signal. Yeah, for debuff and ease of use. the amount of damage over time it does, and we're using a chill clip heavy for times when we want to do that, when we want to stun and unstop, because you know, we might want an instant stop. Now look at this damage it's doing here. It kills both champs, like I said before, in one super, no problem at all. That's strong, because a lot of Arc Titan users, if I'm being honest, you might not like this, but a lot of Arc Titan users are not playing solo, they're playing in a fire team, and they might have their mate on a stasis build, and when they pop their super, they do a massive damage in combination with the stasis crystals. So I'm not calling Arc Titan users there, I'm just saying team composition. You can have one Titan on Arc and then one Titan on Prismatic, and you can do stuff like that. In terms of solo play, you're not going to see anyone run this, because you can just run an Arc style build type of thing on Prismatic Titan. Anyways, you can run T-Crash. You can run T-Crash on Prismatic. Yeah? Now, you can't run Fist of Havoc on Prismatic, which if you could, that's immediately what I would have done today. I was surprised. I thought it was on Prismatic. I must have been mistaken. It wasn't. We get a blind here. Look at how useful that is. We blind the Ultra and then use our Chill Clip GL, which, by the way, this GL is really good. I've been saving it for a lot of years. This heavy GL has been in my vault ages. Demo Chill Clip. Chill Clip allows us to stun all three styles of champs. Technically barriers as well when we get a freeze. It'll stun overloads and unstop. So this heavy's got more of a utility style heavy. It's going to do a lot less damage than what a bait and switch one would do. But that's not what we want out of the weapon. We want more of a utility heavy to help us with unstops and stuff. But I could have ran a bait and switch one, I suppose, now looking at the run, because our super can intrinsically stop a unstoppable. Our melee can do that. And obviously we've got Red Death. But what you got to realise with Unstoppable Pulse is that when we're at the boss fight, that's a slow stun. We don't want to rely on the pulse for a stun at the boss fight. Don't rely on that. That's going to be too slow of a stop. Okay, you want something instant stop, instant to stun the champ or something. Chill Clip GL would do that for us if we so use it in that method. Plus Chill Clip GLs are pretty nice. They've got a bit of utility about them, like being able to freeze a champ like that. Look, being able to freeze a champ. We're going to use super here to defend this plate. That's what I was wanting to do. See, I didn't super top plate because bottom plate's harder. Do you see how that works? I think some of you would have went to top plate and super top plate, and then not having a super for bottom plate. Although you might get it back. If you get enough grenade kills, you might, because I've got Ashes to Assets on. I've got Ashes to Assets. So, you know, I might have got it back in time. I don't know, but I wasn't willing to test it out. This is a one and done run. Once we've done this run, we're not redoing it. We'll be doing something else with Birthplace or with other GM or whatever it might be. This is just literally just to see how does a Fist of Havoc run go, how many supers are we getting. You can review the footage, Arc Titan users, because there is, for some reason, there's a lot of Arc Titan users that refuse to leave Arc Titan. Like, you never hear of like a Void Titan main or Solar Titan mains you hear, because Solar Titan is still useful, but Arc Titan mains, there's something about them. They will not give up that mantelpiece. No matter what the state of them is, it doesn't matter. They will continually play Arc Titan. Maybe it's a D1 thing. Maybe because Arc Titan was, you know, the original Arc Titan that was really cool. Well, the original Titan that was cool, because you had Arc and Void, didn't you? So, you know, people that on their first pick, screw Void, who cares about Bubble, will go Arc Titan. And then we found out at the end game for Vault of Glass, oh, Bubble is far more useful than Fist of Havoc's. Well, it wasn't called Fist of Havoc, it was called whatever it was called, Striker. It was called Striker Titan, wasn't it? So this room, again, we need to look at ammo drops. We need to be thinking about that. It's not that important, but you know, we can optimize. And I'm showing you how to optimize ammo. So, you know, we've got plenty heavy in spec right now, so we don't need to pick up any of that ammo. It's not useful to me right now, but it will be useful at the boss fight. It means we have more license to spam more ammo at a boss fight. See, this exact toolkit or skill set I'm actually talking to you about right now, I'm going to tell you where I learned it from. I learned it from Heavyweight Nightfalls. Anyone remember Heavyweight Nightfalls? Well, do you remember how much heavy you would get in them and the amount of damage that you would do with heavy? Oh, well, I used to optimize heavy in those runs, yeah, for certain things. This is going back a way long time. But ever since then, I've been able to. It depends on GM. It depends on the environment. But if you have bricks that you can go back and pick up later on, right? That's extremely useful because it means that in critical phases, like at a boss fight, you can spam more ammo as a result, making it even more consistent. So you can actually start your ammo conservation before you even get to the final boss fight. Who the hell has ever told you that? Who? Explain to me one person who's ever told you this. I want names and numbers who's told you. And if nobody's told you, then you've heard it from me. You can literally manage your ammo right now. We're not even at the boss fight. Because there's bricks in that room. And we understand it's the same instance. Some people might not even think it's the same instance. They might think it's a slightly different instance, but the environment's the same. Not everyone knows this stuff. We're going to pop super here, which actually I started to slowly regret it. Well, not regret it, but kind of. Because even though we've just done a really good super there, we've killed one overload and cleared the entire room apart from second overload, I was wanting a super for this next bit. Because the next bit's awkward with no health regen and playing from a range. It's awkward. Because you just keep getting pelted by nades and stuff. So if I was to run this back, I might have just saved super. I know we're nearly halfway. We're third. But I think it would have been nice super now when we jump down this bridge, because I would have actually been able to kill the VIP, jolt everything, and kill a lot of those ads. Not the unstops, but my goal would be to kill VIP. The VIP target being this big guy that's coming up this hill. There was a Ravager behind me. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, now we're up against this chunky target. So I haven't used Red Death for a while, since last season when we got the catalyst. I think it's kind of weird because when Red Death first came out in D2, everyone was using it, right? Even I was loving it. And as time went on, okay, we stopped using it for a little bit. But then the catalyst came out because the catalyst was delayed to Act 2 of last season. Right, then everyone used it for a bit to check out what the catalyst does, which the catalyst is nice, but it's just more of the same. It's just more cure. Right, I would have liked more of a sizable damage bonus type deal with it. It's what I'm trying to explain to you is I haven't done this run. I've realised how bad, not bad. I wouldn't say bad, but it's kind of bad at single target damage is Red Death. If we compare it to other sort of pulse rifles, Graviton Lance, Outbreak Perfected, the Obligation one, Vow Disciple one, you know, a Revision Zero melts enemies, like it does far more damage than Red Death. So that's what I've found today, which I didn't feel that way. It's weird. I'm sort of having like a Mandela effect, because last season I couldn't praise Red Death enough, but this season it's like, it's doing really good on red bars, orange bars. Okay, champ, not so good. Champ damage isn't good. VIP damage and boss damage isn't so good at all. I get that it's an clear, safe weapon, but I'm just critiquing the weapon. Not every weapon has to be good at single target damage. I'm absolutely aware of that. It hits quite hard for a pulse rifle. The fact that it's got no sort of damage buff like what Outbreak has, let's say, like nanite damage. So it's hitting quite hard with the high caliber. I think it's got high caliber rounds on. I'm pretty sure it has, hasn't it? Which, that's nice. It stun locks ads in GMs, which high caliber rounds is a secret perk that's been a secret good perk for a very long time, and people just haven't cottoned on to how good it is. It stun locks ads. It stun locks ads, high caliber rounds. It's not just a PvP perk. You need to get it into your mind. It's not just PvP. It's also PvE, and it has been since Leviathan all the way to 2017. People were using Euro's gift with high caliber rounds to stun lock enemies. I remember this. See, I've got a long memory. I'm like a 100-year-old jaw snapping turtle. I have a long memory with stuff like this. So the high caliber rounds was nice on it. Just the amount of damage it was doing to champs. Maybe because, well, the weapon should be overcharged, I suppose, because it's unstoppable pulse. So it is doing overcharged pulse damage. It just wasn't hitting it for me for the damage. And I was even debuffing them as well with the lost signal, and I still wasn't fully satisfied with it. I'm satisfied with it on red bars and orange bars though, totally. It's totally doing enough damage against those. So we're looking at our ammo right now. What can you see wrong with this picture? We haven't got a lot of heavy. Now, that isn't too much of a problem because the heavy isn't really required for much of this fight apart from maybe popping off 1 or 2 shots, with chill clip and, using it on a champ as an option if we want. So it wasn't too much of a problem to me. But it is there as an option. So we're going to do GL shot, pulse grenade, then super. Let's see the damage. We get him in 1 to 2 shots, obviously because he's jolted and everything. He's doing massive damage. But look at how long it lasts. The super doesn't last long enough. So that's another thing that they could do with Eternal Warrior. If they want to make that the Fist of Havoc exotic, the go-to, then give it all sorts of buffs at once. Because there's plenty of exotics in the game that actually do a lot of things for us in one go. Synthoceps is an example. It buffs melee damage and super damage. The regular Synthoceps, that is, not the class item. That's doing 2 things at once. 2 critical things, may I add. That's why Synthoceps has been king since it came out in 2017. All those years. It's been really king on Titans because of that. I know there's other things like Worm God Fists and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I know that's a little bit more niche. Synthoceps is more, general. But yeah, Eternal Warrior, they need to make the super last longer. That's number 1. Retain the times for weapon surges. That is a nice thing to the build. I'm not saying it's not. That is a really good addition. Keep the overshield as well. The overshield's not that good if I'm being completely honest. Although I will say this. Overshields are kind of weak in D2, but at least your HP will regen behind the blue shield whilst you're supering an enemy. So there is that, but you lose so much damage as a result. So you use Eternal Warrior, yeah, you get overshield, but you get no damage bonus. Damage bonus is king. We need damage bonuses, especially in solo. It is only more amplified. When we are solo, we need buffs even more than a fire team, because there's only one of us. Solo would imply the word one, would mean that I'm on my own, would mean that I need more damage from myself, because I haven't got Jack Jones to give me a tractor cannon debuff, have I? Or I haven't got Clive Riddick with a Well of Radiance to provide me with Radiant. Do you understand it? I'm on my own. So we need more damage bonuses, and this is exactly why you will go for exotics that grant a flat damage bonus over something that is sound and fancy on paper, but in reality on the run it doesn't do as much for you as you would hope. Like you say, you would get the times 4 weapon surges off Eternal Warrior, so that would pair well with Anarchy. But by the time you pop your Fist of Havoc, everything might be dead anyways. I suppose you could pop some Anarchy, because it's an arc weapon. You could pop some Anarchy on the boss, you get a little bit of utility out of it like that. That's nice. That would be nice. That exact situation. But that's just one situation, like, you want to get more out of your super, because the whole point of your run or your setup is to get the most out of your Fist of Havocs. So you may as well just use Synthoceps, because you're going to be surrounded a lot anyways in a GM like this. It's add dense. Now let's add dense stuff. Certainly you can do that. You could tech Synthos off, but I find it difficult to not find a reason why you wouldn't use Synthos over Eternal Warrior. That's the argument I'm giving to you. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So we are going to jump over GL Shot and then Jolt. We'll get our pulse grenade back for the overload up ahead. Our goal here is to easily take out these Screebs and the Ravagers. That is really it. Time-wise on this solo GM was slightly above average or average for a run. I think my run the other day was half an hour, wasn't it, right? So this was an extra few minutes longer than that. So it held up pretty decent. Obviously, I would like to see that. This is a topic here for you. So speedrunners always use the best stuff. And there's some lovely speedrunners out there, some good people, they do a lot for the community, yada yada yada. I am talking general. But listen, what about like category specific speedrunning? So Alright, you can speedrun a Prismatic Titan. You can do this solo GM in 10 minutes. Okay, I want you to pick an off-meta subclass and then speedrun with it, and let me see what the quickest time you get with it. That's what I would say to a speedrunner in person. I would say to him, okay, you can do it 10 minutes on Prismatic, I get it. How quickly can you do it on an Arc Titan? Anything goes. How quickly can you do it? Then let's see how they cook. See, a good player will cook in excruciating circumstance. Yeah, anyone can cook with the best stuff. Anyone can cook with the best stuff. Not everyone can get world record times. That is different. Like if you Sutex and all those sort of players, not everyone can do what they do because you're not Sutek. There's only one Sutek, right? So I'm not saying that either. But if you know the speedrunning culture, you'll know that there's some speedrunners that aren't that good. They just speedrun Pit of Heresy over and over and over, and I'm like, why are you speedrunning Pit of Heresy? It's the easiest dungeon in the game by a million miles. Why are you speedrunning it? Or they'll speedrun daily missions. So it's not just a case of that all speedrunners are good. There's good and bad like everything else. There's some that don't push themselves at all, and then there's some that push themselves to NASA levels good, like rocket ship flying good. But then there's some of those speedrunners that are chasing for arbitrary times on like daily missions and base level strikes. Yes, that actually goes on. You might not think it does go on, but it absolutely does. You just need to go on d2speedrun.com and you'll see it all there. It's all public information for you to look at. I just think people aren't aware of the knowledge or what's exactly going on with all that with the D2 speedrunning community. I don't think they know everything about it. They just generalize everything. Like I said, there's some amazing people that do a lot for people and showcase things off, and then there's these generic speedrunners that just copy other speedrunners and they're trying to emulate and copy their times, and it's like, where's your creativity at? There isn't any. Or you're copying it off one other speedrunner. Maybe they say there's 10 speedrunners in a pack. One of them's given real creative ideas and the flagship for meta style runs, and then the other 9 speedrunners are copying him and watching his runs and then trying to emulate his runs. So I'm saying for every 10 speedrunners, there's 1 or 2 of them that are leading the way. The others are sheep, just trying to copy his run, and that is what annoys me about the whole speedrunning thing. And that's my information on it. Like I said, I know a lot more about it, but I'll leave it at that. So we've done really well at surviving here with this. We've had, plenty of supers. We're going to try and get rid of this boss now if we can, though, because now that there's no more ads alive and we have no way of getting health regen, we need to pay attention to HP right now, because we don't want to get too low to the point where we might die to a screeb when we teleport. Yeah, that is an issue. So we're going to try and do some damage over time behind cover. And then we've got some heavy to use, which I was wanting to, but the boss is just being awkward. He's standing behind some weird pillar. But he's almost there. I think I'm going to pulse nade. Because right now we don't need... Remember, you don't need anything. When you're getting ported into the areas, the additional areas, you don't need anything. As in grenade, melee, class ability, you don't need anything. It's just that you need to start farming ammo here, because this is a non-critical zone, right? It's not critical at all. We are just now farming ammo and getting to the overload. Now, we're going to play it slightly slower than what I did the other day on the Warlock, where I just pushed and used my build and stuff, because these stasis enemies have spread out a little bit. So I'm just seeing where they're going, but we're going to start pushing up a little bit. We'll just also calculate my ammo. So I've got 2 to 3 bricks there in front of me. I've got 16 shots. I want to use some heavy on this overload coming up, the one in here. So we need to calculate that and the 2 bricks. And then we want to kill him, then come back for any ammo to have as much ammo for the final phase. I'm probably over delivering on this ammo here, because I actually didn't need all this ammo, but I'm just showing you how I was thinking on the run, and I absolutely would be thinking like this on the older GMs that were a little bit more difficult and more demanding on ammo. The game's completely different now for like ammo conservation. You can spam it a lot more than what we used to do. I mean, if you remember, we had ammo for primary weapons, for God's sake. I used to micromanage bow ammo. So you can imagine how that was. Okay, people think it was a long time ago, but it wasn't. It wasn't that long time ago. We've had infinite primary ammo not as long as we've had to manage primary ammo, if that makes sense. We've had to manage primary ammo longer than infinite primary ammo has been here. I think it's been here 3 years. I don't know the exact date and year on it offhand, but it's been something like that, hasn't it? I'm just saying, us older players who have went through the trenches with ammo are generally better with ammo than the newer players. But the newer players seem to spam it a lot more and therefore start to get into the speedrun style of runs where they're spamming everything. So I think it's an inbuilt play style that I've developed from previous years that I still have in me and need to get rid of, but I still sort of have it in senses. We need to look for stun of overload. We get stun with GL, right? Then pulse grade, then super. Look at that. We have 75% of super left. All ads are cleared. That's easy. I wanted to use super on boss. Now, if this was a raid and flux run, okay, I would have had plenty of super left to then, I would have killed overload easily, 10% of my super. Then I would have cleared ads up, maybe 70% left, then used it on super. Used the rest of my super on the boss with the raid and flux setup. So, yeah, but it's pointless saying that to Titan mains because I know how strict they are with the old Arc Titan. Even if Arc Titan's still weak, they are main an Arc Titan till death. That is it. They don't care if an Arc build's good on Warlock or Hunter. They're still main in the Arc Titan. They don't care because it's a pride thing with them, and that's what it is. And I just find it. I think they might be they might be the funniest type of people. An Arc Titan main in real life. You can detect one with the way they carry on. Arc Titan mains, they're stubborn and they will play on that class till the end of till D6. D6 will come out, they're still main in the damn Arc Titan. Worse than Solar Titans. Worse than Sunbreakers. If you think Sunbreakers are bad, Arc Titan mains are the worst in terms of stubbornness. They'll just continually play it no matter what. Well, this is a video for those people, I suppose. So yes, Arc Titan mains. You can main Fist of Havoc in solo. You can get by with it. Remember, we're handicapped in this GM because of Brawn. If this GM would be better without Brawn for Arc Titans, isn't it funny? But if we have Devour, then Brawn's better when we have Devour. So you see how the mod is like. On one hand, it's amazing, and if you don't play to the mod, it's not amazing. It's a very dual-edged mod, so don't believe when people say, oh, it's the best mod in the game. Well, yeah, if you run Devour Prismatic, yeah, if you run your build that centers around health regen, yes, it is. It makes the GM a joke. It makes it a strike. But if you don't run any health regen build at all, then you're actually handicapping yourself even more than what you usually would. But that's why, obviously, I'm not arguing. We do have a little bit of health regen. I've got Red Death on to supplement that, and it done a good job at supplementing the build. I was still able to be aggressive enough in the run, okay, to get by. Like, this was done first go, no problem, and that was it. Well, I think on my first clear I fell off map. I'll be honest. I fell off map on first run on those first initial overloads. But this didn't take any time for me to do. It wasn't a problem for me to do this run. It was either going to be this or a Prismatic Titan run, which I may still do a Prismatic Titan run on this GM. We'll see, because I've got a few Prismatic Titan builds knocking about now. I've got the Invis build. I've got a couple of other things going on. So we'll just see, or maybe just a Hunter run. We'll see. So that was the run for the Fist of Havoc solo GM. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.